Okay, so today we have the Classy Hobby 1/16 scale Luchs, Pzr II Luchs. And I've just completed the lower hull and the upper hull. I'm working on the turret now, and that video will come later. But for right now, let's just go over this hull. Look inside there, you can see that it does have working torsion bar suspension right there. Shock works a little bit, but you get a little bit of flex out of that. Front drive sprocket will turn, and if you glue this right back here, the rear idler should turn as well, because it's just kind of keyed right there. We got a little flash to clean up before I glue it on, but it should key in about right there. And if you glue that right, that should also turn. I got all the road wheels painted up, ready to go on. Nothing too difficult there. They are still take them apart to mount them, so that'll be a lot easier, because you got to do the skinny wheel, then the wide wheel, skinny, wide, skinny. And if you, this piece right here is separate, you can just go ahead and glue that on when you paint them. Same with this one. This piece here right there is separate. Go ahead and glue that on and you can paint it. Not that big of a deal. Just a little hint, so that way you're not like, oh, there's another thing I forgot to paint. And with regard to painting, all right, after this, it's a 3-piece hull. You got the bottom, two sides, and the back. Very first step you got to do is you got to assemble all the fans and everything, and you can just barely see them underneath the grates in the back. You kind of see that part right there, a fan. Kind of see them a little bit there. So you are going to have, unlike the Stewart, you're going to have to paint that, because it will be seen. And these grates are a pain, because you gotta add these little pieces here. This piece here on the end, this middle piece, this middle piece, and this piece. You gotta glue all together. And same over here, you have this one. The middle one is different. You could make this where it will hinge, but I glued mine down. And here, and then these centers, and then the same as the outer over here. So you're going to have to really pay attention to that and try and get the angles right. I don't think I did on every single one, because they're kind of it's a booger to do. I'm not going to lie about that. These little hooks here on the side, right here, there's no locating tab or anything for that, so keep that in mind when you go to glue it on. Just if you have reference photos, directions, just look at that and try and get them as close to approximation as you can. Now, some of my reference sources do show a gap between the hull and the fender. So don't think you need to try and clamp that shut. You don't need to. All right. Then of course I replaced the brass handles for the plastic. Up here in the front with the track, if you're going to mount the track, you better go ahead and might as well paint over it, and then go back in and weather it so that you can still see it, however you want to do that. Some little tricky parts right here with detail on the inner fenders. Not too crazy, just keep your time, take your time with it. And the fenders, make sure you get them level, right? The back piece back here, these racks are kind of a pain for holding the jerry cans, so take your time with that and you'll get those mounted fine. Other than that, there isn't a whole lot of detail on the back. Muffler, little reflector light, tow hitch, you know, little PE there for the chain, and then the bottom. I already glued the PE on, painted it. It'd be a little easier to get to, or harder to get to if you did it later. So I went ahead and knocked it out now. This piece, that's painted back, is one piece. So you gotta take your time and test fit this piece. And after you build this piece, you know, put all your little details in there, radio mount, vision slot, test that, test fit that, and then test fit the front piece right here. Because this took a little bit of sanding to get it to fit. Because I started from the back, did this piece first, right? Then I did this piece right here, and then I did this piece. And you can see in there, I did mount the periscope. It's kind of reflecting right there. So I'll have to mask that when it comes to paint time. The radio operator / assistant driver, his is closed. Still a lot more detail parts to go on. The front glasses here, and all along the fenders with all the boxes and stowage, Pioneer tools, everything that needs to go on that. That still all needs to happen. Now, this is the same as the 1/16 Gecko Pzr II, the Stewart. It has all of that opening mechanism for these slots here, vision slots, right? You can forego that and just glue the outside part on. I did do one side. I kind of keep, you can just barely see it back there, you know, see what it looks like. So I did that side, but I did not do this side. The torsion bar system actually goes together pretty well, and you get this hole, it goes together a lot easier than the Gecko one. The Gecko one has just, that Pzr II had poor locating holes, you know, locator tabs, whatever you want to call them, and it was a nightmare. I didn't get mine completely squared, but this hole goes together 10 times better than the Gecko models one. Probably because they have to do this, they went with the torsion bar suspension, you know, so it probably made it a lot easier. Now, one thing that I am afraid of is with these torsion bar suspension is over time, is these plastic torsion bars just going to like weaken? So I think maybe for display purposes, I might, you know, fabricate a little stand or something so that that won't happen. That these, you know, I can see make it, you know, as model ages and the weight starts, you know, these things start, you know, bottoming out. The front ones with the shocks, I mean, there's a lot more tension there. That one works pretty good. That might alleviate it, but I don't think I want to take that chance. I'll probably make a little stand for it so that it doesn't do that. You know, I already had the track painted up. The track went together really well. no issues with that. You know, German single pin track. When you go to build the track, what I tend to do, it kind of helps that out. There's when I bend it a little, so I don't have to use glue, you know, at the end to keep the track pin in place. And you can still get it through, line it up, and it works just fine. You know, so there's the track. It's completely workable. You know, no issues with that whatsoever. You know, and it'll look pretty good. The instructions said anywhere between 95 and 98 links per side. I went with 98, so if I need to, it's easier to shorten it than it is try and lengthen it. And they called for 11 pieces up front. So with 98 sets, 98 links per side, that left me with two track shoes left over. So they give you plenty of track shoes. Still a lot of PE to go over the grills here. I imagine these are the air intakes. This is the air outlet to cool the motor. Still a lot of details that need to go on. A lot of storage boxes are on this thing, from the 20 millimeter on up. Ammo cans, all that. So yeah, still a lot to do on this hull to get it. I mean, there's tons of detail in this thing that is ridiculous. And they give you 3 versions to do. I'm doing option 3 right here, tank 4134. So, you know, it's got the fuel can here, and then this is an ammo can. They probably just use it for storage. It's probably just welded to the side of the hull, threw their binos in there, whatever they needed. Ammo for the pistols or MP40, whatever they were using, you know. So there are differences in here between the vehicles in the instructions that you're going to have to pay attention to. Mostly on the turret, a little bit on the hull, but most of the turret details are different, especially when you look at these upper two, 4114 and 4121. They don't have the 20 mil right there. So something to think about. And there are call outs in the instructions that tells you, you know, do this for option 3, option 2, whatever. So just pay attention to that. So yeah, there it is. Classy Hobby 116 Luchs so far. Still a lot to do. Working on the turret now, and the turret's got some pretty neat functions. I think you might like to see that in the and then when I show that next video. That'll probably be a couple days. I actually might paint the inside of that turret yet. I haven't decided, but it's not like you won't be see it because it'll be buttoned up, but just as a little practice. But anyways, yeah. Oh, painting wise, yeah, you're gonna have to pre-paint a lot of this, because by the time you get wheels and everything, that'll be extremely difficult to paint, like the underside of the fenders, you know, some of the suspension parts. You know, I've already painted it, the underneath, so when it comes to paint, it'll go hopefully just a little bit easier now that all this hard stuff, you know, underneath all these brackets, that framework, you know, all that's already got a nice coat of paint on it. So it'll hopefully go to, you know, when it comes to paint, it'll be ready to go. So yeah, if you have any thoughts or comments, just leave them at the bottom, and thanks.